I get it now. I understand it. I now realize it's true that Americans are obsessed with ethnicity, with other people's ethnic background. It's a part of American culture. And I didn't realize it because I am American. But in doing these videos for this channel, and I look at the comments from people in other parts of the world, like Europe, for example, they say, man, you Americans are so racist, you're obsessed with this stuff. But then you look at the Americans comment back and forth, you see that they speak more like I do. We're fascinated by other people's ethnicity, ethnic background, even nation of origin if you've got an accent. And I think what it comes down to, it's all part of our, it's psychological. Because for us as Americans, we're a melting pot nation. We don't exactly know where we came from. We're like these orphans to some degree, and we're always wanting to find out more about ourselves. But if we can understand more about other people, maybe it's a reflection on a little bit more about us. We're trying to find out who we are as Americans. And it's easy to say, well, what does that matter? You're American, that's all that matters. But again, unlike other nations where people have been there for thousands and thousands of years, America's a new country. We're all just kind of tourists here, and then for many of us, whether our ancestors go back several generations or they don't, and it's mixed half and half for me, it's still fascinating to know, well, what happened before my great-grandparents got here from Italy or Mexico. So I'm making this video especially for people who are outside of American culture, to understand that it's not coming from a negative, dark place. It's not we're sizing people up to find out, oh, they've got darker skin, they must be from this place, or they've got lighter skin, or they've got this. No, it's that we're actually very intrigued by what seems the least bit exotic to us. So if someone's biracial, we're curious. If you have features that are different than what we're used to seeing, we're curious what you are. Now, it's not uncommon for someone to say, if you don't mind me asking, where are you from? Or, what are you? And that may seem rude, but in American culture, take it as a sign of flattery. You're interesting, you're more interesting than most people around here. I want to know your story. It's almost like we're elevating you, and it's not that we're reducing you to an ethnic background, it's that we're celebrating that. We're fascinated by that. So here's the thing, and I'm telling you this secret now. Even if no one ever asks you, they're wondering. If you've got ethnic traits beyond what the norm is, people are wondering what you are. So if you want to have an interesting thing to talk about, what I would even suggest is do people a favor, let them off the hook. Say, you know what, find a way to slip in a conversation, like, well, yeah, on my Filipino grandma's side, whenever we go there, just find a way to insert it in there. That way people are like, oh, and then when they're around their own people, their own white people or whatever they are, then they say, yeah, well, so I work with this Filipino guy at work. Now, granted, he may just had a Filipino grandmother, whatever, but still, it serves as an interesting conversation, because that's how American culture is, and especially white Americans are that way. I'm not excusing it, nor am I celebrating it, I'm acknowledging it. And that's what I like to do in this channel. I like to acknowledge that these things exist. I want to create a safe place where we can talk about our own, the fact that we're intrigued by each other's ethnic backgrounds, so that we can understand each other better. So yes, it may seem obscure if you're not part of American culture, or if you're new to the concept. I say that it's not rude. It's just our culture, because we are these orphans. So, you want to do somebody a favor? If you're ethnically ambiguous or vague, find a way to put that in a conversation, because people are interested, and maybe they're just not asking, but they still do want to know. It's part of American culture, for better or worse. That's how we are, and I think I needed to make this video to explain that to people who are outside of America watching my videos, but also I need to say that for myself, to remind myself that a lot of the things I say seem really strange if you're not part of American culture, but yet again, most people who are American, that's why they like watching my videos, because we can openly talk about this, and it's the opposite of racism. It is celebrating these things. So to us, it's not rude. So It's a culture shock situation, and I accept that, and I understand that. And if you're not American, you may struggle your whole life to think, man, those Americans are rude. I say it's the opposite. We're celebrating you. We think you're more interesting than we are, and we're putting you on a pedestal. We want to learn more about you. This is American culture. Yes, we are obsessed with people's ethnic background. We celebrate it. It's the opposite of racism.